All right, how's it going, guys? We're finally back. It's been about 8 months, I think, since the last video. Really bad at describing step by step how to build cars, but I can show you guys now probably the best way to build a budget swapped LS240. So, be giving a little overview. I haven't calculated the actual exact amount I've spent, but somewhere in the ballpark less than $5 grand, including the car. So, go over all the bits and pieces and show you guys what I did. Also, it's been so long since I made a video, there's definitely a lot of changes around here. I picked up this 95 Zenki S14 that has 144,000 original miles. It was owned by an old lady in my town since new. Two different old ladies actually, two owners before me. And it is almost immaculate, 144,000 miles, clean title, leather interior. Literally everything in this car works, from the power antenna, cruise control, AC, overdrive button even turns on and off. Completely factory minus the stereo deck. And this thing is honestly a gem. Got it for a super good price. But plans are to not even touch it and just hang on to it because you can't find them like this anymore. Also picked up this SC300 5-speed. Believe it's a factory manual car. Haven't looked at too much, but it looks like it's all factory. Good old 2J GE non-VVTi. It's got a SOAR front clip on it. Hood says 1JZ on it. It's pretty funny, but yeah, this thing. Diff's still open. Needs a welded diff. We got some extra knuckles. Might throw some angle on it, but it's be for sale. Probably end up with one of the homies, but it's definitely a good start. Good chassis. All right, back to this thing. So, start off with the basics. The car. 98 S14, real 98 Kouki. Got the car for super cheap. Luckily got the car for $900. None of the glass was in it. All the glass was there, but it wasn't in it. And it's pretty beat up. Supposedly some kid's dad took a pipe to it. That was the story I got with the car. But it was all complete, automatic car, 280,000 miles or something. But yeah, so got a good deal on the car, $900 to start. Engine is a LQ9 out of an Escalade. So it's like a 6.0, basically a catwalk LS2. Just like an LQ4, just a little more compression, makes 350 horse factory. So if you did want to do the swap cheaper, you could use a 5.3 motor. You know, they usually cost $400 or $500 compared to these are usually, you know, somewhere more around $1,000. And the transmission, another cheap part. This is how you do it cheap. T56s are expensive. So NV3500, yes, the shifter placement sucks, but it's $200 to $300 instead of $1,500 to $2,000. And everyone always says, oh, a truck transmission, they don't shift fast. I'll insert a video. They shift just fine. This whole swap is my brother's S10. And you can rip gears in it. Ratios feel real similar to a T56. So as long as you're not trying to push crazy power, I think it's a very good budget option. So the whole package, motor and tranny, clutch, everything, I got for a really good deal for my brother. Got for $1,500 for the whole drivetrain. So it's a good way to save money right there. Alright, so it is stock or aftermarket aluminum dual cam radiator. Came with the car, no money. Radiator hoses, literally all found out a bucket of spare ones I have. Just kind of grafted together. Heater core lines, bought from the auto parts store. All extremely cheap, no big deal. Stock truck manifold, obviously. Hood is not going to close unless it gets cut significantly. So I might cut up a real kooky hood. We'll see how that goes over. Big savings, because expensive swap parts are headers. These are stock manifolds. I'll show you better from the bottom, but this is a stock, actually passenger side's a stock manifold that fits without any modification. This thing is modified pretty far to clear the steering shaft, but a lot cheaper than a $400 or $500 set of headers, and they fit easier. It's easier to take in and out, and I think it's overall a better option if you're just going stock power. So we got eBay throttle body, came on the motor, but it's cheap. eBay intake, no big deal. It is a TransDap oil filter relocation kit because you have to run that on pretty much any pan you do on this no matter what, but still pretty cheap. Temp sensor, if you get the 98 Corvette or Camaro, it's a 3-wire sensor instead of the GM 2-wire, so you can run a regular gauge off of it and the ECU gauge. So no big deal, all still cheap stuff. No big expensive parts. eBay battery box and relocation kit. Also pretty cheap, under 100 bucks. Actually, I was even running the battery in the stock location for a second, but the intake was sitting out here over the headlight, so I figured may as well move it, make more room for the intake. Don't judge my wiring, I know it's horrible. And this is all, my brother's all his factory wiring. Exhaust still needs to be built, it's open header, so this is aftermarket, or not aftermarket, homemade O2 sensor wiring. It's all pretty messy, but it'll get cleaned up and it works, it's functional. You need a single cam throttle cable that works the best. People tax for them for OEM ones, but they actually sell them on eBay for like 30 bucks brand new still, so it's not bad. Alright, you see a shifter on an NV3500. There's the factory spot. It's probably, if I had to guess, maybe 6 to 7 inches forward. And it honestly shifted without this bracket. I touched the dash a little bit, but it went into all the gears, but this bracket helps out a little bit. Could make it better, but it's good enough for now. Steering wheel, gauges, all that fun stuff, but yeah, want to make it look a little cleaner in here, but it works for now. We got stock fuel tank, stock pickup, everything. You run the truck motor, you can run the return system, so pretty much just all plumbs into your regular fuel system pretty easy. It's kind of janky the way it's set up, but you can make it a lot cleaner, and I'm sure I will, but works for now. Just threw a Chemso eBay like $30 340 LPH fuel pump in it, so that's kicking for now. See how it holds up. Alright, another thing I forgot to mention, so because it was a factory auto car, so I got an OEM S14 clutch pedal, threw that in there with the Willwood clutch master, smaller one, it's kind of a tight spot. A couple adapters make it fit to a braided line, and that Willwood's only like 40-50 bucks I think, and runs down to an NV3500, runs an internal slave just like a T56, so it's literally all the same fittings pretty much, no big deal. And it also makes it nice because if you do want to go T56 one day, everything's pretty much bolt in. Driveline is even the same yoke, so all you'd have to do is get it shortened for a T56. Alright, and so motor mounts are, can't really see them, but cheapest eBay motor mounts you can buy. They're like 100 bucks, and honestly, I had to modify them a little bit. I had to channel out the holes to move it further and notch out the subframe a little bit to try to get it forward as much as I could. That way I didn't have to cut as much subframe. So that was honestly, getting it fitted was a little bit of a challenge, but it was done for 100 bucks and mounted in the car, so can't complain. But yeah, probably should be pretty easy to find on eBay. If anyone has any questions about parts or anything specific, drop me a comment, something like that. Find me on Instagram, message me, whatever, and I can try to point you in the right direction. But there's still even a couple ways you can save. You know, you can do a 5.3. You know, you can. There's still more corners that could be cut if you wanted to, but I'd say this is the cheapest way to do it, and I think it'll be pretty solid. All right, before we throw it on the lift, we'll check over one little thing too. As far as wiring, people buy expensive harnesses and all that good stuff, but this is honestly really kind of rudimentary and not clean, but it works, and you can literally just use the old fuse box out of the GM vehicle and run a hot to your battery and alternator, and literally one wire to your ignition power, and it runs off of that. So it's really simple. You know, you can simplify the harness and do it really clean if you want. Either way, you can do it for free, or you know, you pay for expensive harness. Either way, but that is the budget way to do it. All right, so chassis stuff is probably not included in the $5,000 budget, but I mean that's kind of, most of your car chassis might already be built, or it's kind of up to you which how you want to do it. But without the chassis, it's probably well under $5,000. But just local guy, Evan ER Fabrication, knuckles and lowers, Megan, curve tension rods, CX racing coilovers, all cheap of the cheap. So another big cost savings is oil pan. CX Racing or Siki pans, usually $500 or so. This is an eBay $200 front set pan. And as you can see, I cut my subframe damn near in like half, but it's all replated up in there and even has provisions to pull the rack. So I think it's strong. I mean, I might even argue that it could be stronger than the factory stamped steel, but I think it'll hold up. We'll find out. There's the old cheap NV3500. There is the custom manifold. It is not pretty, but it should flow about as good as stock, and it has quite a bit of clearance. And like I said, you can have a $40 set of manifolds instead of $500 headers. So that checks out. NV3500, internal slave, real simple. Beat the piss out of the firewall. Standard LS stuff. There's the other stock manifold that fits. Driveline, we got a really good guy, B&W Driveline, local in Auburn. 400 for a driveline, that's probably about standard for most custom drive shaft shops. Auto cross member with some not very good welds by myself for the trans mount, but it works, and if I can fabricate it, you can, because I'm not a very good fabricator. Solid subframe bushings, up to you. I opted for the, oh, there goes the light. Opted for the 350Z rear diff conversion, bolt-in GK Tech conversion mounts for like 60 bucks. Just because I run a Z normally, I got Z diffs, I got Z axles. May as well have the same different axles for both my cars, and axles are stronger. People say the diffs are the same strength, but also you get the longer ratio, which will be better, I think. This is actually an auto diff too, so it's 330s instead of 350s, but that's about it for the chassis, I think. Power steering, one area I probably actually could have saved money, but I didn't. I bought like a $80 high pressure line that bolts right in, made my life easy, and then, you know, just a regular hose for the return. But I'm sure if you went to, we got a custom hose shop in town I could have gone to, probably would have been like 20 or 30 bucks, but I went expensive on that, so no worries, but it works good, no leaks. Alright, so I think that's the bulk of it. This thing, it's not quite done yet, but I mean, it's been up and down the road, but it really hasn't been put through its paces yet, so a bunch of stuff could break, who knows, I'm sure it will. It's a drift car, it's gonna get beat on pretty hard, but not really much more money to spend on it. All the basics are there. And also another question I might not have gone over is clutch wise. You need a 4.8 Vortec clutch and flywheel because the NV3500 came factory in some of those trucks. So that will be your clutch setup. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Sorry I've been pretty bad about making videos and all that and keeping up, but I'm trying to be better about it. Maybe actually get me working on some stuff instead of just showing you what's been built. But see you next time, and still building, still driving, so there'll always be more to come.